All right, welcome to the weekend. And yes, we're doing one more mock draft. We didn't do a couple for a week there. We've done a couple in the last couple weeks. Want to squeeze one more in before free agency hits on Monday because we have a clear view of the salary cap. We're going to do an entire mock off season. Here we go. Let's do this. All right, so we're going to start off with trading the number one pick to the Commanders. I think it can get done. I think the Bears are trying to milk more value and squeeze them. I'm going to give a very fair trade here, roughly 25% overpay on the Rich Hill trade value chart. If you want to look for an example of what a fleecing is, look at last year. That was an extreme fleecing, but I don't think the Panthers really valued DJ Moore the way he should have been valued. I think they saw him as a round one, round 2 player, and he's a high-end round one capital guy. They should have not given him or given less in that trade. But nonetheless, thank you, Panthers. And here we are, 1-1 to 1-2. We get a second, third, and a future first-round pick. We could probably extract more. I think that's what Poles is trying to wait for, but this is a fair value. All right, we get into our offseason, and we've shown this several times. Now they're updated after the compensatory picks have been announced. It's now 109 and 121, which is nice for us because we thought there might be a few more third-round compensatory picks. Before it was 111 and 123 is what they were projecting. Now it's 109 and 121, so it's nice. Higher value fourth-round picks. Well, not ahead of anybody else except the 2 compensatory picks that maybe weren't going to be there. But we have 11 needs to fill. So we've got $50 million in cap space. We've kind of gone over that a little bit here. I'm not going to break this down further. Of that, I think Ryan Poles would probably spend 40 to 43 because he likes to have a little buffer in the season. So let's look at our free agent class. And I'm going to take Chase Young. I know a lot of you might not agree with that. He has a great career. They say maybe he loafs a little bit on plays. But when you listen to Justin Fields, he said he is the hardest or the best player that he's played with. So that's pretty high praise. And Chase Young has had a highlight reel after highlight reel. The thing I like about this, it's a one-year prove-it deal. He's had injuries. He's finally healthy, and he's going to want to prove himself to get the big contract. So he's going to sign a deal like this. PFF and Sport Track had him between 13 and 15. I rounded the middle there. 1 year, $14 million. Great deal for the Bears to have a one-year guy before we get into next year's solid defensive end class in the draft. I think it's a perfect fit. Next, we're going to get Xavier McKinney. 24 years old, 4-year, $12 million a year. So that's not the total value of the contract. $12 million a year. I just wanted to make it easy to see the annual value. His passer rating when targeted is elite. He doesn't miss tackles. I've explained him a lot. I'm not going to spend most of this time on here. We're going to make this go a little quicker. Xavier McKinney, I like a ton. Next, we're going to get Tony Pollard. Reason I go for him is because he's a little less annual value than some of the other huge names like Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry even. 2 years, $6.5 million a year. He's a solid back. Obviously, you've seen him in Dallas. I think there's a lot to like there. Next, we're going to pick up Colby Parkinson, someone I haven't focused too much on, but he did work with Shane Waldron in Seattle. And one of the things I liked is he's improving every year. His contested catch rates are extremely high. He's tall, he's big, and his drop rate, it's decent. But then this is what they said on PFF. Parkinson was the key component of Seattle's run blocking, lining up in the backfield for multiple snaps per game in addition to his duties in line. His presence on the field is by no means a run tell for defenses, with increased passing game workload over the last 2 years with a solid average depth of target. He's improving every year, and we know Waldron is going to want to balance the running and passing attack, and this is a huge part to do that. I really think we might target Colby Parkinson, someone we haven't talked too much about, $6 million a year average. All right, so there's our free agent class. Overall, we're not going for the mid-level guys. We're going for the big signings here. We're going for 4 of them. It's $38.5 million. We're still well below that cap. We're going to have about $12 million buffer room. We can sign a couple guys if we get to the end of free agency or if we get where we need to be. A couple guys at the league minimum contracts we need to sign. And then we're going to get into the draft. So draft day trade, we're going to trade down. I've never done this one because I don't really see the Patriots being that tight. But if it ends up being a situation like we were with the Eagles where the Patriots know we just want to move one more spot and they don't want us to trade down with the Giants or with the Falcons, and they say, okay, we'll give up just a little bit to trade up. This is a pretty flat, even trade, kind of like how the Eagles trade was with us from 9 to 10. We just picked up a 4th rounder. But from 2 to 3, that trade value is a second and a future 3rd. So we're not extracting a ton of value, but it's kind of the same situation there, like with the Eagles. Okay, they know we just want to move one spot. They don't want to risk us trading down farther with the Giants, which we possibly could. And Ryan Poles might flat up say that to him. Hey, look, I need to extract some more value. I'm willing to give up Marvin Harrison Jr. to get Rome Odunze if I have to. I'm willing to trade down. But if you guys really want a quarterback here and you don't want someone to jump you and take that guy at 2, you're going to have to come to the table. I'll take a flat even trade. And that's the type of situation you have here. So I see this being very realistic. If we're going to go this route, if I'm going to give you a 1 to 2 and then 2 to 3, this is the first time I've done it. This is what I see happening. It's not milking value. It's not getting another first-round pick. It's really a flat even trade like we did last year with the Eagles. All right, so with that, we're going to get into our draft picks. And we're going to pick Marvin Harrison Jr., a guy I haven't been mocking a lot, and I'm really, obviously, there's so much to love about him. I'm not giving him enough, so I'm going to give him this one, but I'm really okay if we get Marvin Harrison Jr. or Rome Odunze. I'm good with either X receiver. Prefer Marvin Harrison Jr. All right, we're going to take another trade down. With this one, we're going to 9 to 13. We're going to trade with the Raiders. They're going to trade up to get the guy they want, the quarterback they want, still there on the board. We're going to get their 3rd rounder, a 7th rounder, and a future 4th round pick. Again, this isn't a huge overpay. Same thing. We're not going down that far. It's not like coming from 20 to 9. It's 13 to 9, so it's just a small value getting a few more draft picks. What we're trying to do is use Ryan Poles doing his magic where he picks up a few more draft picks, a little more draft capital. We're not milking things. I think teams are worried about getting fleeced this year. I think that's a big reason the number 1 pick hasn't been traded yet. A lot of you asked that question. That's what I really believe. I think teams are worried about getting fleeced like the Panthers did. And so the Commanders are balking. We're having to work with the Giants. We're having to work different angles. They're worried about getting taken advantage of like the Panthers did. So they're trying to find a more equal level ground, and Ryan Poles is trying to milk and extract that value. So here we get a future 4th round pick, a 7th, 3rd, and a swap of the 1st round picks. And you guys already know where I'm going with this because I really have my heart set on him. We're going to pick Jackson Powers Johnson, center out of Oregon. Not much more I need to say about him other than he is, in my mind, a true generational talent center. Hasn't allowed a single sack in all of college. I love it. Let's go with it. All right, this is something I haven't done, and I'm opening up to the possibility of it because Ryan Poles may have it in his head that if he doesn't pick a quarterback as a backup option, if he's keeping Justin Fields and if he picks up this extra draft capital, if he doesn't take a quarterback, there's not the backup plan there. Now, I think he truly believes in Justin Fields, but I think this is appeasing to the Bears organization, to the owners, to everyone to say, hey, look, we've got a plan in place to develop. This is kind of a Jordan Love type of situation. Jordan Love was taken at the end of the 1st round. Bo Nix is considered a 1st-round talent. He's that borderline guy that you've seen several times in different drafts. We've traded down. We've picked up extra draft capital. We don't have to start him right now. We can still use this opportunity to see if we can develop Justin Fields one more year, see if he continues to improve as he has every year. He's improved every year like we've asked him to. That puts more pressure on Justin Fields, but it also gives us that backup where we can develop a quarterback in the wings and see how it works. I'm not close to the idea of that. I'm not a Justin Fields or nothing else. I believe Justin Fields has earned the right to be able to continue to be this team's quarterback. But if Ryan Poles does something like this, I won't be shocked. And the reason I'm picking Bo Nix in this situation, purely because of release speed. He is known in this draft as the quickest released quarterback. And if Shane Waldron wants to work with someone, he's got one end of the spectrum with Justin Fields with crazy elite athleticism, being able to scramble, being able to get out of any situation, deep ball, short ball, everything. Now, Bo Nix has a great accurate arm too, but he's much more quick release speed, but not as much of a scrambling, get out of situations type of quarterback. He's not as quick as Justin Fields. So gives him two opposite ends of the spectrum to be able to work with. We're going to try it on this one, see how it goes out on this mock draft. I'm trying a couple new things, and you're going to see here on this next pick, I'm going to do something else as well. We're going to trade down. We're going to extract more value. Just a slight overpay again. We're going to trade down with the Colts. The reason I picked the Colts is I see them being in prime position in the first round to get a cornerback. They need a cornerback and they need a wide receiver bad. And at the beginning of the second round, there's going to be a couple wide receivers there that people are going to be fighting over. So I see the Colts trading up, giving up their 4th round pick and a future 4th round pick. So a swap of second rounders and 2 4th rounders to be able to come up just a little bit. And with that, the Bears extract a little bit more value. And we're going to trade down and get Braden Fisk, who had a good combine. I'm not sold on him being a day one starter, but at the second round, 46th overall, that's good value for a very solid defensive interior player. I like what they can do to work with him. Eric Washington can have his hands with him. All right, now at 67. This is farther than I think he would go down. I'm really high on Xavier Legette. You guys know that. But this is where most mocks have him, and it's such a heavy wide receiver class he could fall to here. I've got us picking up our new slot receiver, Xavier Legette, 67th pick overall. All right, then you guys know I love Cade Stover. So we've already got Colby Parkinson as our lead blocking back who's got some good hands. Cade Stover never drops anything. You guys know I love him already. Solid blocking back. We've filled out our tight end room. 3 solid tight ends. 77th. Ryan Poles already alluded that there's a solid offensive tackle class. He may go much higher than this, but with how much solid talent there is in the first 3 rounds of this draft, this is kind of right where he's falling, and I'm surprised if he gets this far down, but it's showing that. Like, all the mocks are showing that Patrick Paul is falling down to here roughly, depending on which one you look at. He's a solid pass blocker, but his run blocking is a little bit of his weakness, which is why he's falling a little bit farther. Having him there with Braxton, being able to rotate in, taking his time to get into that starter role, he's huge. He's 6'8". He's got long arms, long span. He's athletic. I just see him as being a very quality swing tackle option, possible starter to replace Braxton, depending on who beats each other out. So, solid pick there, especially when Ryan Poles talked about having depth in the offensive tackle group in this class. And then next, we're going to double dip now. Cooper Beebe, to me, is someone that's being undervalued. I don't know if GMs are undervaluing. He might go higher than this, but mocks are undervaluing him. So if we can pick him up here at 109, we're going to snag him. And then we're going to double dip. We're going to pick up Zach Zinter, who's coming off of his injury. And I love Zach Zinter. A lot of you guys know that. We're going to double dip at guard, and we're going to stack this offensive line. We're going to focus on this line in the draft, and we're going to fix it so we have depth. So if someone goes down or someone's not performing, we've got guys that can step in. Then at 121, we're going to pick up Muhammad Kamara, basically Dominique Robinson replacement. We're sick of Dominique Robinson and his poor play. We're going to bring Kamara in to develop him. He's not a day one starter in my opinion, but he's athletic like crazy, and he's got a lot of potential. And then lastly, now NFL Draft Buzz doesn't have the stats and everything on punters, but Torrey Taylor is projected right now on PFF at 315. He's going to go higher than that. If he lasts to the very beginning of the 7th round, we take him with that pick we got from the Raiders. It's funny on PFF when you look most drafted by, right now, Bears fans really want him as a punter. So he's most drafted by the Bears, and he would be a solid punter. He's definitely an upgrade, and it's a position, if we want to win the positional value battle in games, that's a huge part of games that we don't talk enough about, and we need to get a better punter eventually. I don't know if it's a definite need right now, but if we've picked up this draft capital, I can see this being a move that Ryan Poles could make. All right, so there's our draft. Ended up with 11 picks overall. We focused on the line, wide receivers. We even picked up quarterback. And we picked up an additional 1st, 3rd, and 2 4ths next year to go along with Carolina's 2nd. So we're stacked going into next year, too. We have options. And here's how it looks. That's not accurate. Sorry about that. All right, we already talked about the other part. So here's how it looks. On offense, there's our quarterback room. Bo Nix, Tyson Bagent, Justin Fields. Justin Fields is obviously still starting. Cole Kmet, Cade Stover, Colby Parkinson as tight ends. Running backs, Khalil Herbert, Roshan Johnson, Tony Pollard, Travis Homer, Kerry Blasingame. Wide receivers, DJ Moore, Marvin Harrison Jr., Xavier Legette. You've got 3 solid wide receivers, in my opinion. Tyler Scott, if he can hit the jugs machine, we'll see what he can do. Velus Jones, what are we going to do with him? I think he can have punt return duties for sure. He didn't have any fumbles last year. A lot of guys are still hard on him, but he didn't have any fumbles last year. And if he continues to work, and if we can get him in some jet sweep action out of the backfield, I really see a niche role where he could fill on this team. This line, though, is greatly improved now. Jackson Powers-Johnson at center. We've got a backup with Ryan Bates, who can also play guard. And then we've got Zach Zinner, Tevin Jenkins, Nate Davis, and Cooper Beebe. All those guys aren't going to be dressing for game day. Some of them might be relegated to the practice squad, and we might lose one of them. But iron sharpens iron, and so I love what we have here. Darnell Wright, Braxton Jones, Patrick Paul, Larry Bourne. All right, solid upgrades in my opinion. On defense, Montez Sweat and Chase Young reunited again. DeMarcus Walker is a solid rotational, and Mohamed Kamara as a developmental player. On the interior, adding Braden Fisk really solidifies a solid defensive tackle group to me. We've added Xavier McKinney as free safety. This draft was really about improving the offense, and we did that. This is a solid, improved offense for sure. All right, let me know what you think. Last mock draft until we get to free agency. Next time we'll be going over this type of stuff. Free agency will be well underway, and I really do hope that this is the type of free agency we're going for. Backloading Jalen Johnson's contract gives me hope that Ryan Poles is going to go for home runs this year. Go for this type of situation. These four in free agency would be a home run to me in free agency. If we could land this in free agency, that to me is already a slam dunk to start the offseason. Everything else is going to be butter and cake after that. This is going to be wonderful. So this is what I'm hoping for. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments. Look forward to communicating with you guys, chatting with you guys, seeing how things go in free agency. It's going to be exciting. Hope you have a great weekend. Until next time, bear down.